Welcome to Comedy Wham Presents. I'm your host, Laura Smith. Comedy Wham is your place to go for all Austin comedy. Valerie Lopez started Comedy Wham Presents, our podcast project, in 2016 to give you a chance to get to know comedians in and passing through Austin. This week I'm joined by comedian and writer Andrew Dismukes. Andrew has been on Moon Tower Comedy Festival, was named one of Just for Laughs' New Faces of 2017, and is one of the new writers for the latest season of Saturday Night Live. He's also in a new film, Call Me Brother. And now, Comedy Wham presents Andrew Dismukes. Andrew Dismukes.
Hello.
Welcome to Comedy Wham Presents.
Glad to be here.
Do people mangle your name a lot?
A lot.
Yeah.
Very much so.
What do you get? Did I do okay?
No, you nailed
okay.
it. Yeah. I get sometimes people just say Dismukes. They just don't do like the umlaut U. And then sometimes I don't know, Dismuckies, like stuff like that. I'm just like, why would you assume that it was Muckies? Like, that's ridiculous. Inevitably, people will always be like, they'll get it wrong, and then I'll correct them, and then they'll go like, oh, just how it's spelled. And I'm like, yeah. Say that first next time.
Yeah.
Assume that it's
Phonetics.
spelled the right way.
That's awesome. So, this is your first long time back in Austin since moving to New York, right?
Yeah.
How's it been?
It's been a blast. The shows have all been great, and it's been good to see everybody, and caught a couple people's sets around town. And it's so cool seeing, people you haven't seen in a while, seeing new stuff.
When did you move to New York? How long has it been? How long have you been gone?
Well, I moved to LA in July. Well, I moved to LA. It was kind of complicated. I moved to LA for my last semester of college, which was January 2017. And then I was there for that last semester. And then the summer, after I graduated, I came back to Austin for 2 months and then went back to LA in July. And then shortly after that, got the job at SNL in New York and moved to New York. So I've been in New York since September of 2017.
Okay.
But I've been gone from Austin really since January 2017, but came back for a little bit.
This was not a great winter to get your first start
in
New York, right?
That definitely. Fortunately, it was kind of like weirdly off and on. It was like there were a couple days in between like these two blizzards where it was like 65 degrees, and I was like, this is great. And then just like real airport shut down. Honestly, my dad came to visit, and his flight got canceled to leave because of a blizzard, and they weren't able to leave for another week. They were trapped in New York for a week.
They're like, we live here now.
Yeah. So it was definitely an intense introduction to winter.
They wouldn't have it any other way. It's amazing to me. They didn't name storms like winter storms that I remember when I was a kid, but it seems like now,
they'll name it
to make it extra threatening.
Right.
It's like our hurricane. So I know this, but for the sake of them, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Southeast Texas, Port Neches specifically. Sometimes I say Port Arthur because a couple more people know that, but Port Neches, Texas is my hometown. And
I say this every episode, full disclosure. So the first time, I think one of the first times I saw you do a set, it was probably at Punch. You were describing where you grew up in a setup, and I immediately was like, oh God, I know this. And I grew up in the town exactly next to yours, Nederland. So as soon as you said Port Neches, I was like, of course. Of course it is. Yeah, they have a rivalry, but it's kind of like once you get away from that area, that rivalry just, A, I never cared about that rivalry, and B, it just so dissipates when you're far away. It's like, UT and A&M, they're really strong adversaries until they leave the state, and then of course you're going to root for each other.
Yeah, it's almost cool even.
Right.
Anytime I meet someone from Nederland, I'm like, what? That's crazy. Yeah, blows my mind.
What? We killed your mascot. Like, there's all this legend and lore between the rivalries. We painted your gym. We burnt down your totem pole.
Yeah,
like,
that kind of thing, yeah.
So, but yeah, so I've always been, like, really excited to see you, especially knowing that you're from that home area. So, when did you live there your whole time growing up?
No, we moved around a lot. In my very early life, I was born in Houston, and then we moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, for a little while. Grew up there for a couple of years, and then we moved to Tennessee, and then from Tennessee, moved to Port Neches, and then I grew up in Port Neches the rest of the time after that. So it's kind of did a little tour.
I was the one Cajun in your show last night.
Right on.
You asked about swamps, and I kept my mouth shut, but I almost said Pine Island Bayou.
I love it when people. I've had a couple times. I do that joke. I ask if there's any Cajuns, and then I ask like if you have a favorite swamp. And a couple times people have like yelled out swamps, and I do enjoy talking swamps with people. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember there was a time recently. I got homesick. Every once in a while, I'll just get really homesick. I didn't realize I had a culture until I left that area and had the worst gumbo of my life here in Austin. I went home and I just went out to Pleasure Island and went looking for alligators. I was like, surely back here there's one. Right. Couldn't find a one.
Not a single one.
No, the place was lousy with them when I was a kid. But I went out on that, like, area where it's just that road surround, like, you gulf on one side, swamp on the other, and I was like, surely
you'll find a gator.
Surely there's a gator. No gators.
That's crazy.
So, so when did you get started? Well, let me ask you this. What's your first memory of comedy in general?
Probably, first memory is probably, like, with the Boy Scouts, we would do, like, campfire skits was always something. So like we'd go on a camp out, and then the last night of the camp out everybody would write a skit, and then everybody would get around the campfire and you'd do a skit. And me and my friend Kellen, who was one of my best friends growing up, we both really liked comedy and were always into sketch comedy and stand-up, and so we were really like excited to do these skits. So we always like really, that was honestly Boy Scouts for me was like the skits. That's what I liked about it and what I liked doing. And so, yeah, that's kind of my first memory of really, like, writing and performing something and really being conscious of, like, trying to make people laugh in any formal way.
How old were you when you started?
I started in maybe, I got into it in 5th grade, and then this was probably, like, 6th, 7th was when we first started really, like, trying to,
11,
like,
12.
Yeah, I started trying to, like, write our own skits and stuff like that, trying to do stuff to...
So you come by sketch writing honest?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, on it, like, it's kind of been something I forgot for a while that I did, and then when I got this job writing sketches, I was like, oh, man, yeah, I kind of do have a bit of experience in it. In the 5th and 6th grade, I did some Boy Scout sketches.
So when did you get started, like, pursuing comedy specifically, though?
I guess it would have been when I went to college. When I was 18 is when I started doing stand-up. But I went to college I wanted to be a screenwriter and specifically wanted to do, like, comedy writing. So that's been kind of the plan for, like, since graduating high school. But then when I got to college was when I really started to, like, you know, do stand-up, started trying to... Just got realistic about it, I guess. Went from just kind of like a dream to taking like concrete steps towards doing that. Was 18.
Nice. Do you remember, where was your first open mic?
I did at Cenote here in Austin, which is a very cool coffee shop on the east side. And they have a very bad open mic there every Friday. And I remember I met Yusef Roach was just like somebody who like I met there that day, who like sat in the front row and like watched everybody and was really like decisively laughing at what he liked and what he didn't like.
Yeah.
So that was definitely my set went well enough to where I was like, okay, I want to keep doing this, but was definitely like there were a couple jokes that just I don't even know what I was thinking when I wrote them. Like, just I had no idea, like, no joke to it at all, just me talking.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience, and I think introduced me to a lot of people in the Austin scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you bombed?
Fully bombed, maybe. This wasn't the first time, but maybe like the first real like strong memory of it was I did a show at Voodoo Donut in Austin on 6th Street, and it was just really like it was the first time I'd ever done a show where just really nobody even paid attention to the show, which is a common thing in local comedy. Like, you'll do bad shows, and then you'll do shows where it's just like nobody in that building seemed to even register that I was performing for them. And this was that show. Like, it was maybe like 8 months into doing comedy, and it was really like I would tell a joke, I would pause for laughter, as you do after you tell a joke, and it was just like dead silence, total like people's like having their own private conversation. Like, it was a nightmare.
Like you're bothering them?
Yeah, like I'm bothering them, and like they would like look at me. I don't know. There's a weird thing about doing comedy where like if it's going badly, people look at you like with incredible disrespect, like incredible like I don't even feel like you're a person, and like real like sometimes a little pity, sometimes a little like who the fuck do you think you are? Like, it's a lot of stuff that really it's a terrible feeling. It's a nightmare.
So how do you recover from that? It sounds like you were enough into
I've been doing it for a while,
shows.
and it had bad sets before. That was just the first time I really like went home and was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
But I had some bad sets before to kind of help get me through it, I guess. And then also it's just like, at a certain point that becomes part of the fun. Like, your bad sets kind of become like fun stories you can tell, and like, you know, you walk away and you're kind of laughing to yourself because it's like, God, that went so bad. Like, I don't know. It's kind of funny when it goes bad to you, but it is always a bummer to like just know that that's the impression you left on people. Like, walking away being like, yeah, there's a room of 30 people who think that I just suck ass at doing comedy. Yeah.
So you had gone to school to do comedy writing. As far as, to me, you're a great writer and you're a great stand-up. And sometimes people aren't both.
Right.
You seem to be really solid in both. And to me, really fast. Because I think you were probably only 19 or 20 the first time I ever saw you perform. So you were still like really early in, but it didn't come across that way at all.
Thank you.
I'm trying to, how do I phrase this? Do you feel like at some point, even though you had planned to do comedy writing, that you were like, oh, stand-up's the thing I'm actually going to pursue?
I think it was just the feeling was that it was like, this is something that, I guess stand-up, you get an immediate feedback from the audience. You get very immediate, you know how well you did, and then also it's kind of undeniable how well you, like, nobody can take away the amount of laughs you get.
Yeah.
So it was kind of feeling like with writing in college, it was sort of like I would write something, I'd go to class, and then I'd get a grade on it that was just like, you know, like writing classes are kind of participation grades. Like if you write if you do the assignment, you'll get a good grade. It's very tough in that setting to get like good information on how good is my writing, how good am I at this. So stand-up was just super appealing because I could get that immediate feedback, what I need to do better, what I need to do more, what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong.
Right.
And so it sort of was like, oh, I think I need to pursue stand-up because I think stand-up is more where I can get better as a stand-up and as a writer. I can just get more information, more useful experience. And so that's kind of why I focused on it, and then slowly began to like it more, and it became like my primary focus.
Yeah. So you graduated UT with a degree in
radio, television, and film,
okay.
and they do like a screenwriting program in that.
So that's why you ended up in LA for your last semester.
Yeah, I went there and did a film internship at like a development company.
What was the first festival you got booked on?
First festival was probably Out of Bounds here in Austin in 2015, I think was the first one.
And that was, you were only probably, what, a year into doing stand-up? A year and a half maybe in?
Yeah, a year, because I started, that would have been the beginning of, I started the beginning of 2014, and then this was like September 2015, so kind of like a year and a half.
Okay.
I did 2 shows, the Austin showcase at the Velveeta Room, and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ever kind of cognizant of how quickly everything seems to, like, to me it would have made my head spin how quickly things accelerated for you, because it seemed like I had just seen you getting started and the next thing I know you were like everywhere.
Yeah, I think it was the Funniest Person in Austin contest really helped move that along. And I think that it does that for a lot of people here in town. Like, if you do well in the contest, then you start to get booked on a lot more stuff.
Right.
You'll start to work, like, hosting at Cap City. And then that just sort of if you do well in the contest, that really kind of steamrolls your...
Yeah. You placed second last year?
Well, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah, because I was in LA at that point last year.
Gotcha.
And then, the year before that, I was a finalist. And so that's really when things kind of got... Because that was May 2015, I was a finalist. And then that kind of got me to Out of Bounds in September, which then kind of got me booked on more festivals, booked on more stuff.
Moon Tower. I know you did Moon Tower. And then, when did you go to Just for Laughs in Montreal?
I did Just for Laughs in July of 2017.
And then you got tagged as one of the faces to watch, right?
Yeah, I was a new face at the festival. They do like the New Faces showcase is like for up and coming comics, and that's kind of how the SNL thing came together, was through that festival.
Had you submitted anything to different, writing jobs or things at that point? Or?
Before Montreal, I had kind of been working with a manager, not officially signed with them, but they kind of would like throw me some submission opportunities. She would every now and then email me and be like, "Hey, if you want to submit a packet, I'll submit a packet for you."
Yeah.
So I submitted to a couple things before that. Didn't get them. And then did the festival and got the attention of SNL, and then managed to...
So you had not submitted to them at that point.
I had not submitted to SNL.
They kind of scouted you,
yeah.
and
then... They had seen me, one of their producers had seen me at Moon Tower in 2016, and then my manager, the person who would become my manager after the festival, had seen me at Moon Tower in 2017, and so then at Montreal, seeing me again, I think it like just they're like, "Oh God, I've seen this guy before."
He's solid.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then that's how I signed with my manager, and then the producer who had seen me at Moon Tower before approached my manager and was like, "We'd be interested in starting him in the submission process to maybe work for us."
How did that feel?
Felt cool. I mean, it felt like, honestly, because at Moon Tower in 2016, I had met that producer, and the way I met her was like really weird. It was at the after party, and she just walked up to me and said, "I saw your set. You're great. I work for SNL." And then she just like ran away, and I was like, "What does that mean?" I was like, are we talking? Like, what? So that was like a weird, and then like when I saw her again at Montreal, I was like, "You're that person who like randomly approached me, said that, and then like flew away like super fast." But yeah, that's how that got started.
That's amazing. It's like a drive-by.
Yeah, really and honestly, as like an open mic comedian, somebody being like, I work for SNL and you're great. Like, in my mind, I was like, here we go, it's showtime now, we're going to do it. And then for her to be like, bye, and then leave, I was just like, no, my opportunity. But yeah, that's how that got going.
Interesting. I heard you describe your tryout for SNL the other day on the Dudley and Bob with Matt show. I have to include with Matt. I get flack if I don't. But describe it for them.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Your tryout for SNL.
Tryout for SNL. I mean, it's really like terrible. I don't know. It's
sounded
like
so stressful.
Because a lot of people do it like they'll do characters, and that's kind of a little more comfortable to do in front. It's basically like the SNL audition is you go on the stage at SNL, the stage where like the host comes out and does the monologue, and they tape you, and it's just like a table of like 3 or 4 executives at the show, and that's all that's there. It's 3 or 4 people in this massive studio, and then you're supposed to perform. And a lot of people do characters, and I think that's just a little more comfortable to do, to be like, here's a character, and then do that, as opposed to like, I did stand-up, and so stand-up just innately has like things built into it that don't really work when there's only 3 or 4 people in a room. So I do a lot of jokes that are like, how we doing tonight, guys? Like, where my Cajuns at? Like, stuff like that, like things that just when there's 3 people in the room, they're just like
staring at you.
I was like, we got any Boy Scouts in the house tonight? And they were like, I mean...
Was Lorne Michaels one of the people that you had to do this for?
The second time, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I did 2 auditions there. The first time, it was like...
So they made you do that twice?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
I guess at least you knew what to expect the second time.
The second time, I knew what to expect and had a little more confidence just in that I was back for, by being called back felt good. So I think the second one went a little better, and there were more. They brought more people in for the second one.
Yeah.
So it was a little more of a crowd. I felt like I got a little more laughs, but the first one was really just 3 grown men very analytically watching my stand-up. And
because what's more fun than having someone just sit and quietly judge you while you make comedy?
Yeah, not really take it in, but really be like, okay. Like really analyzing it as it's coming out.
There's the setup, there's the callback.
Right, yeah, because that's their...
Yeah, 3, okay.
Right, and they're so in their head because they're trying to picture you on the show, or if you'd be a good writer, like... It was a nightmare, but a lot of, a cool experience for sure.
So you've gone in about, I guess, I'm guesstimating 5 years from Port Neches, Texas to New York City. Is that correct?
Yeah, between high school and...
Did you imagine that that's where you would be?
Not in that. I definitely wanted to, move to LA I moved to LA or New York after college, but definitely it's really cool to be in this position at that time, like I think I more anticipated that I'd be kind of going in at like an entry level, like someone's assistant or something like that, and then working my way up. But that's what's great about stand-up is that if you do it for a little while, you can kind of generate a little bit of like a name for yourself, and then kind of, get things going a little bit. What's your favorite thing right now about being in SNL? Are you the youngest writer there right now? I think at the moment, yeah.
But you're not the youngest person I mean, it's good knowing that you're not the youngest person that ever worked for them.
Totally.
I know as a cast member, Anthony Michael Hall was like 17 when he started. Young, yeah. Eddie Murphy was like 19. I'm not sure about their writers, but I think they can be. I know Colin started when he was 22. So they tend to hire pretty young, and then even the people who are there are still pretty. Like, there's some pretty senior people, but then most of the writers are like, 25, like kind of 26, sort of around that area. Is there a good feeling of teamwork there? Not competitiveness, but teamwork?
Totally. It's a lot of like collaborate, especially as a first-year writer. You do a lot of like, an older, a more senior writer has an idea, and you help them write it. It's
Right.
a lot of stuff like that. So it's very collaborative. The only competitiveness is when it comes to like, so Tuesday is when we write all the sketches. Wednesday we have a table read of all the sketches, and then Wednesday night, out of those, we maybe read 35 sketches, and then out of that they'll pick like 11 or 12 to
Yeah.
go to dress rehearsal. And that's the only time it maybe gets a little tense, with people being like, is my sketch going to get picked? Is
Right.
their sketch going to get picked? And then just being aware of, especially as a first-year writer, how many things have I gotten on? How many of my things have been picked?
Yeah.
Versus how many has this person picked? It's maybe not competitive. It's maybe more just everybody's kind of conscious of how each other are doing, and sort of just trying to keep up is kind of the thing.
Has there been one person there that that's kind of helped mentor you and get you kind of warm?
Yeah,
welcome there.
There's been a couple people. Streeter Seidel is a writer who, super talented. Like gets a lot of stuff on the show. Is really like going to be in the next couple of years one of the like lead dudes writing
Right.
on the show. Super talented, and when I first got my first couple things on the air, anytime. When you're a first-year writer, when you get something on the air, they'll put a more senior writer on it with you, because you actually have to produce your sketches. Like, you've got to go to wardrobe and talk about costumes. You got to go to props, talk about like so much stuff that I just don't know anything about.
Right.
So they put a more senior writer with you to kind of walk you through that. And he was somebody who was on a couple of my sketches early on, and just really like helped me kind of learn the ropes. And also is just super funny and helped punch up my scripts. And so he's definitely somebody who kind of showed me the ropes when I was there for the first time. And then Colin Jost, I've done a couple stand-up dates with him on the road. And so just him even, asking me to do that has just welcomed me into the group and made me feel like, I think sometimes at the show people worry about, feeling like fraudulent, like, do I really deserve to be here? Am I like contributing as much as everybody else to the show? And so getting that kind of like validation of sort of a vote of confidence from a very like experienced guy, really helped me feel welcome at the show.
What's been your pinch me moment?
Probably, I guess I met Chance the Rapper came, and just I'm a big fan, and he one thing they do on Tuesday night is the host goes to everybody's office and sits on their couch, and then you kind of talk through your sketches that you're writing with them, just so they know hey, can you do a British accent, if you need them to do a British accent in a sketch, stuff like that, and just to be are you interested in this? Do you think this is funny? Because the hosts have a lot of power in what gets picked and what doesn't. So you kind of want to write stuff that they're really excited about to get it picked. And so with Chance, it was just he was super cool, really fun to talk to, and he really was down to goof around and stuff. So I guess that was maybe my pinch me moment of just Chance the Rapper's on my couch, and we're talking about sketches and stuff, and we're goofing around, and it was just really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. You have a movie and you just won an award, I believe, at a film festival.
Florida Film Festival.
Call Me Brother.
Yeah.
It's you and Christina Parrish, and the director is David Howe?
Yeah.
How do people see that? Is it out for release yet?
Not yet. It'll be doing the festivals for a little while. It'll probably be in some Austin festivals here soon, so people in Austin will be able to see it.
Clips I've seen from it are hysterical.
Yeah, Christina. It was written by Christina, and she really brought her sense of humor to it, and it really pops. It's super funny.
So you've got the acting chops too, because the scenes I've seen from it, you've done really well.
Thank you.
I expect to see you on SNL soon. I mean, I know you said you've already, your hands have already made an appearance, correct?
Yeah, it was a dog. There was a sketch where a live dog was supposed to have human hands, and I played the human hands of a live dog.
I actually saw that sketch when it was on. I was like, hey. And then the other day when I heard you talking about it, I was like, I've seen that one.
That's right.
But yeah, no. What's your goal next? Because you've really shot to where a lot of people want to be already. What's your goal?
I think my goal right now is trying to do a little bit more stand-up, and specifically trying to do longer sets like I'm doing this week, to hopefully eventually do, like, towards the end of the summer, maybe record an album is kind of the thing I'm moving towards. And then doing a late night set sometime in the summer would be good. So those are kind of the two immediate things I'm looking forward to. In the long term, like, just writing at SNL. If an opportunity came to be on it, like, that'd be great. But it's not really something I'm looking for, you know. I guess I'm just kind of rolling with the punches still, seeing what comes my way and being open to whatever happens.
Well, I have I have no doubts you'll go wherever you want to go. I was asking Matt Bearden, because I was trying to figure out how long you had been doing comedy before you got booked on Punch. And he couldn't remember exactly how long, but one of the things that we were talking about is the fact that your joke writing extends so far beyond your peer group. It's not, it kind of isn't everyman style of writing to where it's not, you watch sometimes younger comics write and they write very specific to an age group. Yours is so broad. I have no doubt that you are capable of writing things that, your kid and your grandmother could love at the same time. So it's incredible. And I'm just so glad you came back.
I'm glad to be back, yeah.
We look forward to seeing a lot more from you. Where can they find you right now?
Right now, you can follow my Twitter at Andrew_Vinny. I'm going to be at... there's nothing really concrete right now as far as upcoming stand-up dates go, but I'm going to be doing some road gigs during the summer, so, if you follow my Twitter, I'll be tweeting that stuff. I'll be, check out Saturday Night Live.
And you host a show in New York, too. We have some listeners there, so...
I host a show in New York called Freshly Baked, which is at the Knitting Factory, and it's every other Wednesday. So if you follow Freshly Baked or the Knitting Factory on social media, you'll see when that goes on. The next one is May 9th, but I think this will be coming out past that. So just if you check out Knitting Factory or Freshly Baked online, you can see next time we're doing it. We got a lot of great people. A lot of SNL people come to the show and do it, so it's pretty cool.
Well, Andrew Dismukes, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Of course.
And we'll be seeing you.
Thank you much.
Well, I hope you enjoyed getting to know Andrew Dismukes as much as I did. You can follow him on Twitter at Andrew_Vinny, and you can follow us at Comedy Wham, and find us on ComedyWham.com for more articles and interviews, and give us a like, also on Facebook, and please, please, please go rate and review us on iTunes. Until next time, this has been Comedy Wham Presents.